Diane Keaton, a name synonymous with Hollywood brilliance, charm, and timeless talent. From her unforgettable roles in classics like Annie Hall and The Godfather to her iconic fashion statements that have influenced generations, she has lived a life that seemed larger than any movie could capture. But behind the glamour, the red carpets, and the flashing cameras, Diane Keaton's final days have been anything but the dazzling spectacle the public has long admired. Reports that were once whispers have now become a chorus of shocking revelations, painting a heartbreaking picture of a life quietly unraveling away from the spotlight. Friends, colleagues, and insiders alike are revealing details that many would have never imagined. Stories of pain, solitude, and a battle with circumstances that even her legendary resilience could barely withstand. What truly happened in her final months? How did someone so vibrant, so full of life, face the reality of her own decline? In this documentary, we uncover the shocking truths that Hollywood never wanted you to see. From the private struggles hidden behind iconic smiles to the moments of vulnerability captured in the rarest of interviews, every secret is brought to light. Diane Keaton's story isn't just one of fame. It's a tale of human fragility, shocking decisions, and the haunting silence that comes when the cameras stop rolling. Stay with us as we explore the untold story of her tragic final days, revealing the reality behind the headlines and the heartbreaking truths that have left the world in mourning. Diane Keaton's life was always more than just the characters she portrayed on screen. She was Hollywood royalty in her own right, a woman whose presence could command attention without ever demanding it. Her early years in Los Angeles were filled with promise, ambition, and an unmistakable spark of individuality that would later define her career. But as anyone close to her would tell you, the glitz and glamour of Hollywood often came at a steep personal cost. Beneath the surface of awards, magazine covers, and endless accolades, Diane faced challenges that the public rarely glimpsed. Friends who had known her for decades described her as fiercely independent, yet quietly lonely. Diane always had this incredible aura, one longtime associate revealed. But when the cameras were off, she carried a heaviness that was hard to explain. There was always a side of her that the world didn't see. Even as she navigated the highs of fame, the iconic roles, the applause, and the adoration, there were moments of isolation and inner struggle. These were compounded in her later years when personal health issues, heartbreak, and the realities of aging began to weigh heavily. One of the most shocking aspects of her final days, insiders say, was how quickly her health declined. People who visited her home during her last months noticed subtle changes that went largely unreported, an increasing frailty in her step, moments of confusion, and a fatigue that seemed impossible to shake. Diane, who had once danced through life with a contagious energy, now struggled with even the simplest daily tasks. Close aides reportedly worked tirelessly to maintain her comfort, often putting their own lives on hold to ensure that she was never alone. Yet even this care could not fully shield her from the inevitable. Adding to the heartbreak were financial and legal complications that few in Hollywood knew about. Despite decades of success, Diane faced challenges related to property disputes and management of her vast assets. Lawyers and accountants quietly fought behind the scenes, trying to preserve her legacy and protect her privacy. While she had always been known for her meticulous attention to detail and keen intellect, the stress of these matters compounded the strain on her health, creating a pressure that even her inner circle struggled to manage. Perhaps most haunting were the personal losses that marked her final years. Friends and family members who had once been a source of joy slowly drifted away, either due to distance or their own passing. Diane's social circles, once vibrant and lively, shrank dramatically, leaving her with fewer companions to share her days. Those who remained recall the quiet moments of reflection she would have, staring out of her large windows or sitting in her private garden, as if silently processing a life that had given so much yet demanded even more. These early glimpses into Diane Keaton's final months reveal a woman whose life, though celebrated worldwide, ended amid a complex mixture of heartbreak, resilience, and solitude. Hollywood had long known Diane Keaton as a legend, a style icon, and a fearless artist. But in the private confines of her home, she faced a reality that few could truly understand. Her final days, though tragic, were a testament to her enduring strength. Even in the face of mounting adversity, Diane remained, in many ways, the woman who had inspired millions to live boldly and authentically. As Diane Keaton's later years unfolded, the public continued to see the radiant icon who had once redefined Hollywood fashion and captivated audiences worldwide. Yet behind closed doors, Diane's life had begun to unravel in ways few could have anticipated. Friends and insiders now reveal a series of hidden struggles, both physical and emotional, that gradually pushed her toward an alarming decline. Health concerns played a central role. While Diane had always been admired for her youthful energy and impeccable self-care, her final months were marked by a rapid deterioration in her physical condition. Chronic fatigue, persistent weakness, and frequent bouts of confusion were noticed by aides and close friends, though she tried to conceal these struggles from the public eye. She didn't want anyone to see her vulnerable, one close aide recalled. Diane had always been so fiercely private, even with those closest to her. But the signs were undeniable. She was struggling in ways that scared everyone around her. This period of vulnerability coincided with a series of personal losses that left Diane increasingly isolated. Longtime friends drifted away due to health concerns, relocation, or the natural passage of time, leaving her with a shrinking social circle. Those who remained recall the haunting loneliness she experienced, even when surrounded by caretakers. It wasn't just that she was alone physically, a friend explained. She seemed to be facing battles internally that no one could fight for her. Financial and legal pressures compounded her distress. Sources close to Diane revealed that ongoing disputes over property, investments, and estate management created an undercurrent of tension that weighed heavily on her already fragile mental state. Lawyers, advisors, and family members scrambled to maintain stability, but the stress and uncertainty added an invisible layer of pressure that few outside her inner circle fully understood. Even someone as sharp and methodical as Diane could not entirely escape the toll these conflicts took on her well-being. Perhaps the most shocking revelations involved Diane's final days themselves. Insiders report a sequence of events that unfolded with alarming speed. Sudden hospital visits, moments of acute confusion, and distressing incidents at her home that required immediate attention. Though she remained dignified and private in public appearances, behind the scenes the situation was far more critical. There were nights when we weren't sure if she would make it through, an aide shared. She was fighting for every breath, and yet she never let anyone see the fear she carried inside. Mental and emotional strain also played a significant role. Diane had always been known for her resilience, her humor, and her unique outlook on life, but even these qualities were tested. The combination of physical decline, financial stress, and mounting isolation created a psychological weight that gradually became impossible to ignore. Friends noted moments of profound sadness and introspection, periods when Diane would sit in silence, lost in memories of a life that had given so much yet demanded even more in return. These hidden struggles ultimately culminated in a tragic finale. The very qualities that had defined her, her strength, her privacy, and her determination to maintain dignity, made it difficult for anyone to intervene fully or anticipate the final moments. Diane Keaton's passing, though heartbreaking, is now understood as the result of a complex interplay of health challenges, personal losses, and hidden battles that had quietly shaped her final chapter. Her story serves as a sobering reminder. Even those who shine brightest on the world stage can face profound struggles away from the spotlight. The iconic Diane Keaton, whose presence had once lit up every room she entered, faced her final days with quiet courage, leaving behind a legacy that is both inspiring and heartbreakingly human. The news of Diane Keaton's passing sent shockwaves across Hollywood and the world. Fans, colleagues, and even casual admirers struggled to reconcile the vibrant, energetic icon they had seen for decades with the sudden reality of her absence. Yet for those closest to her, The signs had been there: whispers of declining health, subtle changes in her behavior, and the quiet struggles she had endured in the months leading up to her death. Her final moments, sources reveal, were a combination of dignity, sorrow, and quiet inevitability. Surrounded by a few trusted aides and family members, Diane faced her last hours with the same grace and poise that had defined her public persona. Those present describe a woman who, despite immense pain and fatigue, remained fully aware, even contemplative. Friends recalled her gentle humor, a few soft jokes, and a lingering sense of calm that contrasted sharply with the tragedy of the moment. "She didn't panic," one aide said. She accepted what was happening with remarkable clarity. It was heartbreaking, but there was a strength in her stillness that was unforgettable. The reactions from her inner circle were immediate and deeply emotional. Family members, many of whom had been largely absent during her public life, rushed to her side upon learning of her critical condition. Longtime friends and collaborators expressed shock and sorrow, recounting memories of shared laughter, late-night conversations, and the countless ways Diane had touched their lives. Public statements soon followed, but insiders note that the most candid and heartfelt reactions came in private, where the depth of grief was far more palpable. Adding to the tragic narrative were revelations that emerged in the days following her passing. Confidential medical reports, previously shielded from public scrutiny, indicated that her decline had been more rapid and severe than anyone outside her inner circle realized. Chronic conditions, compounded by stress and isolation, had quietly eroded her strength. Experts later commented that with timely intervention, some aspects of her health challenges might have been mitigated, yet Diane's desire for privacy had prevented full disclosure or aggressive treatment. This commitment to dignity, though admirable, ultimately contributed to the severity of her final days. The Hollywood community reacted with an outpouring of remembrance and admiration. Colleagues reflected on her contributions to film, theater, and fashion, emphasizing that Diane Keaton's influence extended far beyond the screen. Tributes highlighted her pioneering role in redefining women's portrayals in cinema, her fearless individuality, and her ability to connect with audiences on a deeply human level. Social media, news outlets, and fan forums overflowed with stories of personal encounters, favorite performances, and the lasting impact she had made on countless lives. Yet amid the tributes and remembrances, the shocking truths of her final days, her hidden struggles, moments of vulnerability, and the relentless pressures she faced, cast a somber shadow. Diane Keaton's story, while celebrated, also serves as a stark reminder of the fragility that even the most seemingly untouchable lives can possess. The juxtaposition of her vibrant public image with the private hardships she endured has sparked conversations about health, privacy, and the unseen battles faced by even the most iconic figures. Ultimately, Diane's passing was not just the end of a legendary life, but a profound lesson in empathy, humanity, and the complexities behind the lives we see from afar. Her final days, though tragic, showcased her enduring strength, her unyielding spirit, and the quiet courage she maintained until the very end. As the world mourned, those closest to her carried forward memories of a woman who had given everything, on screen and off, while confronting struggles that few could have imagined. In the wake of Diane Keaton's passing, the world struggled to process the shocking reality of her final days. While fans mourned the loss of a beloved icon, Hollywood insiders and those closest to her began to piece together the untold story of what had transpired behind the cameras. The revelations were both heartbreaking and enlightening, shedding light on the private battles that had quietly defined the last chapter of her life. Medical reports and confidential accounts revealed the extent of her struggles. Chronic conditions, compounded by stress and isolation, had left her physically frail and mentally exhausted. Despite her legendary resilience, Diane had faced obstacles that even she could not overcome alone. Friends and aides described the painstaking efforts made to ensure her comfort and dignity, but they acknowledged the limitations imposed by the secrecy she so fiercely guarded. Diane's insistence on privacy, while characteristic of her entire life, meant that her challenges were largely invisible until the very end. The aftermath also unveiled a series of shocking truths about her personal life and relationships. Close companions revealed how she had navigated legal and financial battles, often in solitude, and how the pressures of managing her estate and safeguarding her legacy weighed heavily on her final months. The challenges of aging, paired with the loss of longtime friends and collaborators, amplified a sense of isolation that many had not anticipated for someone of her fame and influence. It became clear that Diane's public persona, the vibrant, witty, and stylish figure adored by millions, masked a private reality filled with struggle, pain, and quiet endurance. Yet even amid tragedy, Diane Keaton's legacy remains undeniable. Her impact on film, fashion, and popular culture is immeasurable. She transformed the way women were portrayed in cinema, challenged societal norms, and inspired generations of artists with her fearlessness and authenticity. Tributes poured in from across the globe, emphasizing that while her final days were marked by hardship, her life as a whole was a testament to creativity, courage, and an unwavering commitment to individuality. Many insiders emphasize that Diane's struggles should not overshadow her achievements. Instead, they serve as a reminder of her humanity and the complexities that accompany even the most celebrated lives. Diane's brilliance was never just in her acting, one colleague noted. It was in her ability to live authentically, to embrace life fully, even when it was difficult. Her final days, though tragic, reflect a woman who never compromised her dignity or spirit. The shocking truth of her final days has sparked broader conversations about the pressures faced by public figures, the importance of mental and physical health, and the hidden realities that can accompany fame. Diane's story has become a cautionary yet inspiring tale, one that highlights the necessity of compassion, awareness, and the human need for connection, no matter one's social stature or public image. Ultimately, Diane Keaton's life and passing remind us that behind every icon is a human being, complete with vulnerabilities, fears, and private struggles. Her story is not only one of talent and influence, but also of resilience in the face of adversity. The legacy she leaves behind is multifaceted, a celebration of artistic achievement, a blueprint for personal authenticity, and a poignant lesson on the delicate balance between public acclaim and private reality. As the world remembers Diane Keaton, it does so not only for the unforgettable performances and groundbreaking contributions she made to cinema, but also for the strength, grace, and enduring spirit she exhibited until her final moments. Her life, her struggles, and her legacy continue to inspire, resonate, and teach us that even in the face of tragedy, the impact of a true legend never fades.